Hey guys, welcome to another one of my videos. If you are new to this channel, this is the life of Loryn. My name is Loryn and you guys are the LOL fam. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a dynamic family, a really nice place to be. On this channel we have inspirational videos of vlogs. You get to see sneak peeks into my life. We have story times, we have pranks, challenges, just so many different things. This is a really dynamic family, and so it's the most lit one on YouTube. So please do not hesitate to smash the subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because you do not want to miss out on the dynamic things that happen on this channel. If you are not new and you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. You guys are part of the LOL VIP because you guys are part of the first 300 subscribers. So welcome back, it's so good to have you again. And today's video is going to be a little bit different. So for the first two videos I have been doing vlogs. This video is going to be a story time. And this story time is going to be based on an event that happened 3 weeks ago. And so if you haven't been following, make sure to go and check out the two videos that I posted before the Tennessee road trip, because this is going to be a story time based on that experience. So so just a really quick rundown in case you haven't seen those videos. I recommend that you go see them, but if you really want to watch this video, here's a really quick rundown as to what is going on. So 3 weeks ago, my family and I had to take a road trip down to Tennessee. We live in Maryland. I'm in Maryland right now, and we had to take a road trip down to Tennessee. So the reason why we had to do that is because last year 2021 in May, I was having a lot of acid reflux like symptoms. I was having a lot of burning in the chest. I was hardly eating anything. A lot of pain and difficulty breathing. They thought it was acid reflux, so they put me on some antacid medication. That was not helping the symptoms any better. So we went to this GI, a gastroenterologist doctor, and I had to do an endoscopy in May 2020. The results of that endoscopy came back that I had Eosinophilic Esophagitis. I know that's a really long word, but I was diagnosed with it. It's a chronic condition. It doesn't have any treatment, and it's where white blood cells called eosinophils attack your esophagus. Like if you have an allergic reaction all the time, it attacks your esophagus and it causes so many symptoms: vomiting, weight loss, lack of appetite, severe belly pain, constant, malnutrition, a whole lot of that, because since you're not able to eat properly, you don't eat as much and you lose a lot of weight and all the things that come with that. You also have like a lot of burning sensation in your throat, feeling like you can't swallow food, things get stuck, a whole lot of stuff. It's a really hard thing to live with, and I was diagnosed with it in May of 2021. So when the doctor did the endoscopy, as I said, and did biopsies, it came back with those results. So he put me on, the gastroenterologist, he put me on medication called omeprazole, and that, I was on that for a good amount of time. For the first few months of taking it, I did not feel any ease of pain. It was still so bad. In fact, it got worse. I was losing so much weight, and my family and I realized that this wasn't making any sense, because he was just doing endoscopies after endoscopies without changing any medications, and I was in so much pain. So we decided to look for a new gastroenterologist. Long story short, we went through a whole lot of things. We found this doctor in Tennessee. So he agreed to work with my case, and so that's how we ended up taking the road trip to Tennessee 3 weeks ago. And when I went there, I did a third endoscopy, and that is what the story time is going to be about today. So basically, on the morning of my endoscopy, it was the 19th of January. It was a Wednesday. So the morning of my endoscopy, I was not allowed to eat anything, okay? So you're not allowed to eat anything 8 hours before. Eat or drink anything. No, okay. You're not supposed to eat any food 8 hours before the procedure. You are allowed to drink water up to 6 hours before the procedure. So the night before the procedure, I had dinner, but like I said, because of the eosinophilic esophagitis, which is the condition that I have, I cannot eat a lot of stuff. My diet became very limited, and so I ate a very small dinner that night. The morning of my endoscopy, I woke up and I was feeling a little bit nervous, but I had done 2 endoscopies prior, like what I just explained to you guys. So I don't know why I was feeling so nervous, but I was really nervous. So I woke up. The endoscopy was scheduled to be at 9:30. We had to be there 2 hours before, so 7:30. So I woke up at around 6:30. I showered, got ready, and all that good stuff. I had to drink a little bit of water with the medication, so they told me I still had to take my medications before the procedure. So I was able to drink some water before the procedure, and so that's what I did. My throat was so parched because it was just a little sip of water that I was able to drink, because they don't want anything on your stomach when they do the procedure. So I did everything I had to do, got ready to go, dressed, and all that stuff. So I went with my mom and my dad. We go inside our car, we drive to the hospital. It was Vanderbilt Children's Hospital that I did the procedure in. My first time even being in Tennessee, much more in a Tennessee hospital. So we arrive at the hospital, my dad drops us off, and he goes back to the hotel. So my mom and I, we come out of the car, we're trying to navigate our way around, because remember, it's our first time even in Tennessee. First time in a hospital, we don't know where we're going. So we go up to the front desk and say, we're here for an endoscopy, where do we go? So the whatever front desk people, they give us a sticker to put on our chest to say that, we're a patient here, and they tell us to go to the 6th floor of the hospital. My mom and I take the hospital up to the 6th floor. We walk into a place that says cancer treatment. I was like, what is going on? I'm here for an endoscopy, and I end up on a floor that is treating kids with cancer. So it was a whole mix-up stuff. We went to the front desk, they're saying, somebody directed us to this floor. It's the wrong floor. Where is the endoscopy clinic? They tell us to go to the 3rd floor. It's a big whole mix-up. We are confused. We do not know where to go. Finally, after a couple of minutes, we find the correct floor, and we go ahead and sign in. The lady who's signing us up asks us a whole bunch of questions: date of birth, phone number, just get all our insurance cleared up, and just gets ready to go. They put this wristband on me, that they put around my wrist, that I had to stay in the hospital with, so they can track me and they can scan it, and just like a medical hospital wristband. And I kept it because it's really special to me, because it's my first endoscopy that I ever did in a state that I've never been to, and so I kept it so I can show you guys and stuff like that. So they put this around my wrist. I am getting so nervous because I'm scared as what's going to happen. I was just feeling confused, and my mind was so full, and I just wanted to relax and go home. But I couldn't do that because I had a procedure to do. So we get signed up, we sit down in the waiting room for a good 20 minutes. I'm chatting with my sisters over the phone because they didn't come to the hospital with me, but they're at the hotel. I have 2 sisters, so they're at the hotel, and I'm texting them saying, hey, I got registered, I'm about to go back, and I'm just trying to do all sorts of stuff to distract myself from focusing on the fact that I'm about to have an endoscopy done. So I'm sitting down here, and I hear, Tiffany, Loryn, we're ready for you, and the nurse calls me back. My heart is starting to beat so fast. So I go back, they check my height, my weight, ask me a couple of questions like allergies, it was my first time, and just, all those medical questions that they always ask. After they do that, they take me to a room. Okay, well, it's not a room, but it's like a big room where a whole lot of kids are there, and they put me in the slot with a curtain blocking from the kid that's on the other side. So I go onto the bed. And I sit there, and I'm nervous unto death, guys. Like, I was literally trembling, and I was hoping that nobody's seeing me, because I'm 14 years old, and it is embarrassing that I'm so scared and everybody's seeing me shaking, and it was a mess. Okay, so I sit down on the bed, they give me a gown to change into. I changed into the hospital gown, put on my socks, the hospital socks that they wanted me to wear, and I had to take off all my clothes except for my underwear. So my shirt, my pants, everything except for my underwear. So I sit down on the bed, and because I'm 14 years old and I'm a girl, you know what I'm trying to get at. I had to do a urine sample. I had to pee in a cup, and they were going to do a pregnancy test because of my age and all that stuff, and I'm a female, and they needed to do a pregnancy test on me. So I had to go and pee in a cup. Now, that is the last thing I needed to be asked to do. First of all, I'm nervous to death. The last thing I'm thinking about is peeing in a cup. Second of all, I did not drink any water for the past 10 hours. How do they expect me to generate pee if I have no water in my system? So I was like, what is going to happen here? They direct me to the bathroom. So I say, I'm gonna try. I sit down on the toilet. 2 minutes later, nothing is coming. 5 minutes later, no pee as yet. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I am not in any mood to pee right now. I just want to go home. I'm starting to stress out. I did not get the pee sample. So I go back to my room, my little slot cubby thing, and I go back on my bed. The nurse comes and says, were you able to get us the urine sample? And I'm like, no, I'm not feeling like I need to pee. Nothing is coming out. And they say, okay, you know what, it's fine. We'll just check if you're pregnant by doing a blood test. So I'm like, okay, that's a relief. At least I don't have to be here all day just waiting for some pee to come. So they draw my blood, they start an IV. That IV was so painful, guys. And I don't think it was that painful, but I think that my mind was just so against being there that the pain was exaggerated much more than it really had to be. The IV was in my hand. The nurses were really nice though. They really walked me through everything, but I was just so afraid that I was not listening to anyone. So they asked me a couple more questions. They get me signed up, all that stuff. They asked me if I know what I'm here for today. I say yes, an endoscopy. And they just get everything sorted out. They take my blood, send it to the labs to check if I'm pregnant, start an IV, and I'm just there waiting to be wheeled back to the operating room. The procedure was supposed to be beginning at 9:30. 10 o'clock, I'm still on the hospital bed and the endoscopy is not done. They had to wait so much longer than expected because the lab was taking a long time. The lab was taking a long time to process the blood test to see if I'm pregnant. So we wait. Time is ticking by. All 11 o'clock, we haven't begun as yet because the lab was taking so long. I'm stressing. I just really want to be done. And the longer it's taking for it to come back, the more nervous I'm getting. And I was just an emotional wreck. My blood pressure was up to the sky because I was just so nervous. And every time a nurse came inside the room and they checked my blood pressure, they say, are you nervous? They could have been able to tell because of how fast my heart rate was when they checked my blood pressure. Like, everybody knew I was nervous. The anesthesiologist knew I was nervous. The doctor knew I was nervous. The nurse knew I was nervous. And I was just so embarrassed because I'm a big girl and everybody's seeing me shaking in my shoes. So we wait. Finally, the anesthesiologist comes back and he says, hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm gonna be your anesthesiologist. And I'm like, hi, what's up? And I'm trying to put on this front saying, yeah, like, I'm cool, nothing's wrong with me. And I know deep inside I am nervous to death. He says, so I'm gonna be an anesthesiologist. Have you had an endoscopy before? And I say, yes, I have. And he asks how have I responded to anesthesia, if I have any allergic reactions to it. And I'm like, no, I'm fine with anesthesia. But yeah, so he asked me a whole bunch of questions. And he says, I'm just gonna check your blood pressure. He checks the blood pressure. He says, are you nervous? And I'm like, yeah, I am really nervous. So the front that I was put on, what I was trying to put on was useless because he was able to tell. And he says, what's making you nervous? And I say, just being here. I'm afraid of what's gonna happen. It's my first time here. I'm afraid. And he's like, is there anything I can do so that you wouldn't be as afraid? And I say, walk me through everything you're going to do. If you're gonna put a needle in, tell me. When you're gonna put me to sleep, tell me. So I'm prepared as to what is going to happen, and nothing is a surprise, and that will help to calm me down. And he says, okay, you'll be fine. And he just tells me everything that he's going to do. He was really nice. Everybody there was so nice, but in my brain I was just so afraid that I wasn't even, it didn't make a difference. I was just so scared. The doctor comes in, he introduces himself, and he's like, hi, I'm your doctor. I'm going to be, managing the endoscopy and all this stuff. Everybody introduces themselves to me. Finally, it's around 11:30, and they finally come back and say, the pregnancy test was negative. We are ready to begin. So my mom comes, she gives me a hug, she kisses me. We say farewell, for the next couple of minutes, and she leaves. Meanwhile, they wheel me back. Everybody's trying to talk to me and calm me down and ask me a whole bunch of questions, have old talk, or just start, irrelevant conversations that have nothing to do with the procedure or anything to do with the hospital visit, but they're just trying to have me talk to them so that I'm not as afraid. They asked me if I love the snow because it was snowing a lot that day. They asked me how many siblings I have. They asked just a whole bunch of questions to try and calm me down. Nothing was working. I was getting more and more scared. As I was approaching that operating room, as it seemed to me. So they wheeled me in. The room was so cold. And the nurse says, do you want another blanket? We want you to be comfortable. And I'm like, no, I don't need no other blanket. Like, I am good to go. I was cold to death. But I'm trying to look like, I'm strong, I'm savage. I don't need no blanket. I'm good. I was cold as an ice block. Like, I deep inside, I wanted that blanket. But I was just trying to look so cool and easy going, I don't need nothing. So that I rejected the blanket, and I was like, hey, I think I really needed that blanket. So things like that. I'm just trying to look strong, and in truth and in fact, I was not. They wheel me in. The room is so big, and it's cold, and it has a whole lot of like computer screens and IV and just so many things. And it was just, the closer I got to it, the more nervous I was getting. I was just trying to take deep breaths. The deep breath that everybody says relaxes you. It was not working. Nothing was working. So they wheel me in, and they tell me, okay, so we're gonna get started. Devin and Loryn, are you okay? How are you feeling? And I'm like, I'm feeling so good. I was not feeling good, okay? I was not. But the point is that they wheel me in. They tell me to lay down on my left side, because for the procedure, you have to be laying down on your left side. The nurses or whatever touching my hair, they're playing with me, they're just touching my face. I felt somebody rubbing my face like this, and I was laid over on my left side, and I was like, I had to lay down on my left side. My hand with my IV had to be stuck out like this. My feet were curled out. I was just in this awkward position that was so uncomfortable that it made the situation even worse. They checked my blood pressure again, and they said, hey, my heart rate was really fast. And so they said, you know what, let's just give you the sedation medicine really quickly so that you can settle down and we can get the procedure started. So the anesthesiologist comes in, and he puts this oxygen like thing in my nose, and it goes in your nose right here and around your ears, and it ties under your chin right here. And that was giving me oxygen. The oxygen smells a little bit weird, and it was tickling my nose a little bit, like it was tickling it a lot. So all these things were just making me so uncomfortable, and I was like, I just really want to get out of here. But I stayed still, I cooperated. People were having, talking with me, trying to calm me down and keep me as relaxed as possible. The anesthesiologist finally says that he's gonna administer the sleep medication. He pushes that in, and when he pushes that in, I'm like, is this supposed to make me fall asleep? Like, I'm feeling good to go. I'm not feeling tired. I'm talking. I'm trying to look cool, and just trying to look like if I'm good old, easy going, and I was not. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling good to go. He administers a second, injection of medication, which we know was anesthesia. And I'm there, and the nurses are talking to me, and I'm talking back to them, and then all of a sudden, things start to get a little blurry. Like, my vision is starting to get, fuzzy. Like, I'm starting to see, things are not, if you have a camera, if you're taking a picture and you're waiting for the camera to focus, that's how I was seeing things. It was just really starting to get fuzzy and blurry. But I was like, hey, this mightn't mean anything. I'm good to go. I'm not falling asleep no time soon. Then they continue talking to me, and I think the anesthesiologist administers the last little injection of anesthesia. And at that point is when it really hit me, because I was talking to the nurses, and then all of a sudden voices began to get fuzzy as well. I was not hearing words. I was hearing like voices, like if people were talking to me, but I was not able to process words anymore. I wasn't responding to them. My vision is blurry. My hearing is very fuzzy, and I think at that point is when I was right at the very second I was about to drift off to sleep. Because after that I heard the nurse say one more thing, and I don't know exactly what it was anymore. I don't remember, but I heard one more voice, and then apparently I passed out from the anesthesia. I went to sleep, because the next thing I know is I am in the recovery room, opening my eyes in a brand new different room with my mom at the side of me, and I opened my eyes and it's so bright, because right before I fell asleep, they turned off the lights. And no, don't get me wrong, it wasn't me falling asleep. They really did turn off the lights. And right after that, apparently I passed out. I wake up in this bright room. I feel like I'm going berserk, because when I open my eyes, I begin to cry. And the anesthesiologist did tell us before that teens have reactions to anesthesia. Some of them get grumpy, some of them are just really sleepy, and some of them are emotional. Most of the teenage girls are emotional, and that is exactly what it was. I'm a teenage girl, and I woke up so emotional. I opened my eyes and I immediately begin to cry. And the nurse comes and says, are you in any pain? What's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong, and I'm just crying. I know that there is no logical reason for why I'm crying, but I just feel so upset and confused and mad and nervous, all these emotions at once, that I just begin to cry. And so my mom comes and she starts rubbing my leg and rubbing my arm and says, it's okay, Tiffany, there's no need to cry. But nobody's really comforting me. I'm just crying so hard, and I just feel so sad and mad inside. I don't know we know what's anesthesia, of course. I wasn't able to function properly, but I was just getting so upset, and my reaction to the anesthesia was emotional, and I was crying. So the nurse comes with apple juice, because after the endoscopy you have to drink apple juice or some kind of thing. Eat a popsicle, drink juice, drink water, something to make sure that you were able to swallow properly, and just to make sure you're good to go. And because you haven't had any fluids and food on your stomach for a while, they just want to make sure that you're able to intake, like you're able to drink water or drink something or get stuff down without throwing it back up or anything like this, to make sure you're okay. So they bring me this cup of juice. I did not want that juice, because I was just, when you're upset and when you're emotional and when you just wake up from a procedure, the last thing you want to do is eat or drink. And she comes with this juice that seems like this much to me, when it's like a little sip of juice that I had to drink. She's coming with a straw, and she's saying, come on, Tiffany, Loryn, drink. You have to drink this before you were able to get discharged. And I didn't want it. And I was just crying. I took a small sip, and then I stopped, and she was there holding it, and she was really being so patient with me. But I was really not in a good mood, and I was just, I did not want it. So she had to end up calling my mom to give it to me. And I took it. I was more receptive to my mom giving me the juice than the nurse. And I drank it, and ideally would have wanted me to finish the whole thing of juice, but they were patient and they were understanding, and they only allowed me to finish half of it, which was good, because if I was told to drink any more, I would have just lost it, because I was already in such a bad mood. So I'm just crying all this time. Somebody came to me and says, hi Tiffany, are you okay? And I respond to them with I cry. I do not answer them. I just start crying. And looking back, it's kind of really embarrassing because I'm a big 14-year-old girl. You know, I should be able to respond to people, and instead, when people come to me, Tiffany, are you okay? That's all I'm doing. I'm just crying. And so it's funny, but it was embarrassing, you know, looking back now. It's kind of a bit embarrassing, and I don't want that to happen again. But they were patient with me. The nurse called my mom to help dress me because, as I said, I had to take off my clothes. My mom comes and she dresses me. She helps me put on my shirt, my jeans, and my shoes. And I'm still waking up. And every time I put down my head, I'm falling asleep again because, you know, the anesthesia is making me all drugged up. So my mom dresses me, and I'm just laying down there like this, and crying and sleeping at the same time. Then the nurse comes and she takes out the IV needle, and she puts a bandage on me, and everybody's being so gentle, but I'm feeling like if people are like, I just don't want anyone touching me. So after they take off all the needles and stuff like that, they put back on my mask, and the nurse helps me to get up out of the bed. She holds my hand and she says, "Come on, Tiffany, let's go." And she pulls me up, and she pulls me. I was laying down on the bed like this. She pulls me up, and I just fall right over like that. Like, I have no control. My head is bumping all over. You know, I'm still drugged with the anesthesia, and so I'm not able to, you know, control myself. I'm not able to, like, keep my head up, and so I'm falling like this all over the place. And she really has to hold me and support me because I wasn't even able to walk. I was stumbling. You know, that is what anesthesia does. And so they had to put me in a wheelchair because I wasn't able to walk at all on my own. I was just falling down. My eyes were closing here and there. I'm crying. I'm just a mess, okay? So they put me in the wheelchair. My mom calls my dad and she says, "Hey, Tiffany is done. You can come and pick us up." So they wheel me out to the front. My dad pulls up with the car, and he takes me to the hotel. Cause remember, we're in Tennessee. We don't have home. I live in Maryland, and so we were staying in a hotel. We go to the hotel, and at this point, the crying has subsided a little bit. When my mom is by me, I don't cry as much. But every time the nurses come, I'm crying. So I reach home and I shower. Yeah, I take a shower. And at that point, I'm a little bit better. Like, I'm able to control myself a little bit more. I'm not as, it took like about half an hour for all the anesthesia to wear off, like in terms of the emotional reaction and in terms of like the stumbling and stuff like that. It wear off like after half an hour. And I took a shower, dressed in something comfy, and I just go and watch a movie with my mom. Now, as for the aftermath, like, for those of you who have had an endoscopy done before, you know what I am talking about. The pain after the endoscopy is so excruciating. Like, it is bad. Like, your inside is just so sore. Like, it's terrible. I was in tears. I'm gonna insert a picture right here. I was in so much pain. I was crying so hard. It was painful. Like, every time I had to swallow my saliva, it going down felt like stabs to my inside. Because when I was drinking the apple juice, it wasn't that bad because remember I was still on anesthesia, and it was numbing the pain. But that evening around 5:36, it was so painful. I was crying so hard, and it wasn't because of any emotional reaction or anything to anesthesia. It was genuine crying because of pain. It's so painful. And so if any of you are going to have an endoscopy done anytime soon, be prepared to know that it's so sore for the first day, for the first 2 days, at least for me. It was so painful after, and so just be prepared for that. And so you need to push fluids, you need to get it down, you need to drink water because you were dehydrated, because you haven't drunk water for a good amount of time before the procedure. But just know that it's going to be painful, and you just have to brace yourself and go through it. You may not be able to eat dinner that night because I know for one, I wasn't able to eat anything that evening. I didn't even sleep that well that night after the endoscopy because it was so painful. And just know that, you know, like if you could put cotton in your mouth so that you don't have to swallow the saliva as much, go ahead and do that. Do whatever it takes to reduce the amount of times you have to swallow, because every time you swallow you can feel it going down your sleep. It's so bad, like it's really really bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, for me it went up to about a 9. I was so much in so much pain, so just be prepared for that. But by the night I was pretty much myself again. I wasn't having any more reactions, any anesthesia, anything. I was pretty much, you know, normal. So I just wanted to let you guys know that experience. We waited for the results of the biopsies because, of course, you know, biopsy results take a little bit of time to come back. By that evening, I was back to my, I would say it was 80% back to my normal self. But yeah, that's how an endoscopy goes. The sedation is the hardest part of it, and recovering from that, because I don't know, you have to go through it to see how you react. But the way I reacted, it was a lot. Like, it was a wreck. Like, I am so embarrassed looking back on that now. I was really bad. Like, wow. But yeah, I'm just so excited. If you have to have an endoscopy done, I would love to hear your story. Please comment down below if you can relate to anything I said in this video. If you can have an endoscopy soon, if you have any questions about the procedure or anything like that, please leave in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to respond to you guys, because you guys are like family. But yeah, that's basically what I went through. That is my endoscopy journey. That was my 3rd endoscopy ever since. So I have to do another endoscopy in 2 to 4 months. So it's now February, so in about April or May I have to do another endoscopy, and I'm praying and hoping that I do not embarrass myself like I did this time again, because it was so bad. But you know, that's what anesthesia does. Anesthesia is so fun. Like, I would love to hear how you guys anesthesia stories, like anything that happened weird, anything that you did, you know, I would love to hear your funny anesthesia stories. So please leave in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. I'm not that good at doing story times, but I tried my best to let you guys know what happened and how things happened, and basically what an endoscopy is, and how just the process of the endoscopy. That's what I had to go through. By no means do you have to stay in the hospital overnight, unless something, you know, strange happens or they need to monitor you longer. Then you might get admitted for an overnight monitoring. But more or less 95% of the time, you know, you leave 2 to 3 hours after the procedure. But just 3 things that you have to know: make sure you go to the hospital with urine ready. If you're a female and you're a teenager, go with urine on the ready to go, because you will have to do that urine sample, or you'll have to wait much longer for them to have to test it by blood. So make sure you go ready to use the bathroom. 2, just relax, calm down. The doctors know what they're doing. Do not work with this. Like, look at me today. Like, I'm fine. I had the endoscopy done 3 weeks ago, and I'm still my good old self. Like, nothing's gonna happen to you. You're in good hands, and so just trust the doctors. You know, don't be nervous. I know that's nothing that you could control, but you know, just calm down. Try your best to relax. You'll be a-okay. Advice number 3, you know, don't feel, you know, like, if you could control yourself, don't fight the anesthesia. You know, the anesthesia, you're not going to wake up during the procedure. That's one thing for sure. Like, you are knocked out. Like, I do not remember anything. As I said, the last thing I remember is somebody saying, like, Tiffany or something in the background. I did not answer them, and I fell asleep. Like, that's it. Anesthesia works so quickly. You will not know anything about the procedure, and you'll just wake up. So don't be afraid about anything about anesthesia. You'll be fine. Number 4, you know, you might have a weird reaction, but you know, that's what anesthesia does. You are drugged up. You might not be able to walk. You may not be able to function properly. You know, just expect that, because if you are going to be sedated or put to sleep, I was given general anesthesia, which knocks you out completely. So whatever sedation you're getting, just, you know, expect some sort of reaction, because it happens. You know, that's what anesthesia does. 4, be prepared for the pain. If it's your first endoscopy, the pain is going to be so bad The second and the third times I had an endoscopy done, it wasn't as bad as the first time, but it's still so bad. So just expect, be prepared, brace yourself for the pain afterwards, because it's really hard. But the good thing is that it only lasts for about 2 days after the procedure. So just try to push as much fluid as possible. And my advice to manage the pain is to put like cotton balls in your mouth, so that you don't have to swallow your saliva as much, and so that reduces the pain a lot. Also, a really good tip is to drink ginger tea. And I know that's kind of like in contrast as to what I was saying before, but try to avoid swallowing. But ginger tea really, at least for me, it soothed my esophagus and it made it so much better as I was drinking it. So if it's one thing you drink, ginger tea, because you get to push some sort of fluids down, get something in your stomach, and it's not that painful as water or something. I think something about the ginger is soothing, and so if you have ginger tea, by all means drink that, because that helps a lot. And for dinner, it's okay if you skip dinner that night, because I know for sure I skipped dinner because I was in so much pain. But if you can manage some sort of yogurt, applesauce, mac and cheese, just be prepared to eat something really light that night for dinner if you're having dinner. And what was the last thing I had to say? Yeah, that's basically what I have to tell you guys. For those of you having an endoscopy done, just relax, enjoy the process, take it one moment at a time, and you'll be a-okay. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys were able to relate to something I said, or you learned something about it. For all of my members who have eosinophilic esophagitis out there, I feel your pain. I know what it's like. So just hang on there. I know it's a hard condition to live with, but you'll make it through. Or anything that you might have that you have to do an endoscopy for, you'll be fine. Just take it one day at a time and see how you overcome. But yeah, that was my story. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm so glad you were able to watch the story time. And once again, this is the life of Loryn. My name is Loryn, and you guys are the LOL fam. It's so fun to have you guys along with me where we laugh out loud. Literally, we have so much fun on this channel. So make sure you subscribe ASAP, and you will be part of the LOL VIP. It's a really limited edition time where you have to be one of the first 300 subscribers to be a part of the LOL VIP. So make sure to smash the subscribe button as soon as possible, and so that you can be part of that VIP. And I'm just so glad you guys are able to watch my videos. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you guys have fun here. Please leave in the comments down below your funny anesthesia stories, and also if you have any video suggestions for me that you guys would love to see, I'll be happy to post them for you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!